Every kid who drew a race car would have painted it red. This is a legacy of Enzo Ferrari, the Italian car maker who established the prancing horse and created the most successful racing teams and machines ever. Now, that emblem could be seen on even watches and sunglasses. But the boy from Italy had to come a long way to make this possible. Sit back as we tell you the story of the supercar brand Ferrari. Enzo Ferrari was born on the 18th of February 1898 in Modena, Italy. His parents were Edelgiza Bisbini and Alfredo Ferrari. He was their second child. Enzo had an older brother who was also named Alfredo. Alfredo Jr. went by the nickname Dino, a name that is familiar to those in the car world. In the beginning of the 20th century, automobiles were not as popular as they are today. The scarcity was even worse in the rural areas. The Italian automobile industry was quite different in structure compared to other industries. It was made up of local manufacturers and was mostly on a lower scale. Alfredo Ferrari, the father, was a blacksmith who used to run a metalworking company in the basement of his home. But since he owned a car and knew how it worked, he often used to offer workshop repair services in his workshop. Even at a young age, Enzo used to help his father in the workshop. This way, he was able to learn how the cars worked, and soon he was also taught how to drive a car. When Enzo Ferrari was just 10 years old, he saw Felice Nazzaro win the Circuito di Bologna in 1908. This event changed the course of his life as he had a new dream, a new desire to become a car racer. You can't be one at just 10 years old, you had to wait till you got older. During his wait towards becoming a racer, Enzo had to live through a tragedy. World War I had broken out. His father and older brother were drafted into the army. In 1916, both of them had contracted the flu during the influenza epidemic and passed away. His family business collapsed. Soon, Enzo was drafted as a military blacksmith, but since his health was not in a good condition, he was discharged. Losing his father, brother, and the business, Enzo had to find a way to make ends meet. Enzo took up a job which involved driving ex-military refurbished chassis between Turin and Milan. Enzo made a lot of connections and relations during this period. He did not give up on his dreams. He offered his driving skills to Fiat, but the offer was turned down. But despite this, he made his competitive debut in the 1919 Parma Poggio di Bercito hill climb race and secured 4th place. Soon he got a better opportunity. In 1920, he joined Alfa Romeo, and in 1923, he won the Circuito del Savio in Ravenna, which was one of the most competitive tracks in Italy. The very next year, 1924, happened to be one of the best in his racing career, in which he won 3 races. Enzo became a popular figure in the racing world. Count Enrico Baracca was impressed with Enzo's driving and invited him over. The Count was the father of Francesco Baracca, who was a legendary Italian fighter ace during World War I. He had won the most aerial duels among the Italians at 34, and his fighter plane was decorated with the Cavallino Rampante, a black horse prancing on a white background. His mother gave Ferrari a necklace with the prancing horse on it. Ferrari, in honor of Francesco, designed his emblem based on the necklace. This horse ended up being one of the most recognized emblems to this date. In 1929, Enzo started his own team called Scuderia Ferrari, which served as Alfa Romeo's racing team, and eventually, in 1932, Enzo decided that it's time to retire. He started to devote his focus towards the managerial aspects of his racing team. He had several talented racers, such as Tazio Nuvolari and Giuseppe Campari, in his racing team. They won over a dozen Grand Prix and even the prestigious Le Mans 24 Hours race. Around this time, he had his first son, who he named Alfredo after his late older brother, and also gave him the nickname Dino. Enzo eventually left Alfa Romeo and decided to create his own endeavor, Auto Avio Costruzioni. The company focused on manufacturing machine tools and aircraft parts for the Italian government. However, during this time, he also designed a race car of his own called the AAC 815 and produced 2 of these in 1940. Things were soon to change. World War II broke out. By the end of the World War, Enzo's factory was exposed to bombings, and they decided to move from Modena to Maranello. Here, he decided to fully shift his focus towards automobiles. In 1947, Enzo released the Ferrari 125S, which had a powerful V12 engine and became the first car to race under the Ferrari name. The production of the 125 created a momentum which led to the release of the Ferrari 166, which was such a huge success for the company and even gained international recognition. In 1948, the Ferrari racing team made its open-wheel debut, and in 1949, the 24-hour Le Mans was won by Luigi Chinetti, who drove the 166. In 1952, Alberto Ascari won the Formula One Drivers' Championship in his Ferrari Tipo 500. 1956 was tragic for Ferrari as his son Alfredo passed away at the age of 24. Later on, Enzo released several engines and made a separate car brand called Dino in his honor. In 1957, Ferrari released the Ferrari 250 Testarossa, which won 3 World Sports Car Championship titles in 1958, 1960, and 1961. This did seem to go pretty well for Ferrari, but they were soon going to take a hit. Ferrari's wife Laura was involved as a manager in the company. She was definitely not a favorite. Ferrari's sales manager Girolamo Gardini, along with 8 of his colleagues, gave Enzo a letter demanding Laura's resignation. But Enzo did not want to sleep on the couch, so he decided to fire all the employees involved. This incident was known as the Great Walkout. Ferrari also went through the death of 4 drivers during the past 2 years, so the company was in dire need for talent. The company had to stop working. It was only after a year that Ferrari resumed production. To fill in the gaps, Enzo hired young engineers, and these fresh minds designed the Ferrari 250 GTO. There is a legend that says that only 39 of these were produced. The approval for racing requires at least 100 cars, and Ferrari numbered the chassis out of sequence and shuffled his cars during the inspection to get the approval. Whether it's true or not, what did happen is that the GTO won the World Sports Car Championship 3 times in a row. In the same decade, Ferrari released the Ferrari 275 and the Ferrari Daytona. The end of the 1960s was rather interesting for Ferrari. The cars were in great demand. While this is amazing, at the same time, Ferrari did not have the infrastructure to meet its demand. As a result, Ferrari sold 50% of the company to Fiat. But the company was able to expand and was commercially successful. In the 1970s, Ferrari did see racing success with Niki Lauda and Jody Scheckter, winning the Drivers' Championship for 3 years. But this was the only major victory for Ferrari racing for quite some time. In 1984, however, Ferrari was about to have an interesting turn of events with the iconic Testarossa. The Ferrari brand blew up as a white Testarossa was a constant on the popular TV show Miami Vice. However, Ferrari was nearing the end, not the brand, but its founder. His health was deteriorating, and on the 14th of August 1988, Ferrari passed away at the age of 90 in Modena. And this coincided with the 40th anniversary of the company and the release of the F40. His second son Piero sold most of his father's stake in the company to Fiat. Fiat now owned 90% and Piero 10%. However, Ferrari soon got back into the action. In 1996, Ferrari acquired Michael Schumacher, and the rest is history. In 2000, Schumacher won Ferrari's first Drivers' Championship in 20 years, and then proceeded to win the Drivers' Championship 4 times in a row. Ferrari and Schumacher were a dominating force for those 5 years, and it was only in 2005 that Schumacher had to settle for less. During the years 2002 to 2004, Ferrari also released its fastest model, which was named Enzo after its founder. The car was quite a success and came at a price of $650,000. On October 29, 2014, Fiat announced its division from Ferrari. Ferrari went public under the ticker symbol RACE, but despite the split, Ferrari seems to be doing well on its own. In 2020, Ferrari registered a valuation of $30 billion. Ferrari doesn't seem to be backing up and has several plans for the future. By the end of 2030, Ferrari intends to make its lineup consisting of 40% hybrids and 40% fully electric models. This is the story of Ferrari. Have we missed out on anything? Are there interesting bits and stories that you know? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting stories.